Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Shirin, aka Halal Girl New York. I am a doctor and lifestyle blogger living and working here in Manhattan. Now, for those of you who may not know me through Instagram, I essentially have had a public profile on Instagram called Halal Girl New York, where I've been vlogging my journey moving from London to New York over the past 3 to 4 years. And for the longest time, I never actually shared my husband on my Instagram. And just a couple of months ago, we did the grand reveal and I unboxed my husband to the public. It was a little bit nerve-wracking for me, but it's been really great and we've been really enjoying creating videos and reels together. Ever since he made his public debut on my Instagram, I have literally lost count of how many times I've had requests to do a husband Q&A. So without further ado, I want to introduce you guys to my better half and my husband, Usama. Welcome to the YouTube channel.
Thank you.
Say hi. Everyone say hi to Usama.
Very excited to be out of my box, guys.
So for the past 3 years, I did keep Usama locked away in a wooden crate in the corner of our apartment. It had a little hole for breathing and a little flap in the door where I would put bird food in 3 times a day. And he's grown so much in those 3 years.
Somehow I still gained weight.
So I polled you guys on my Instagram and I collected the most frequently asked questions and we're going to answer all of those today. How are you feeling?
I'm nervous, excited, and a little bit proud to be on the channel, really. I just hope I do myself justice.
So let's just dive right into it. I don't want you to be nervous.
Okay.
Just be yourself. I'll be proud of you either
What
way.
if they don't like me?
Well, then I won't put you back on the channel.
Guys, please like the video, otherwise I will be back in the box.
Okay, so question 1. How did you meet?
Okay, I'm gonna let you take this one.
Okay, so the short answer to the question is we met at one of my best friend's birthday meals. It was her 21st birthday and Osama was invited because they went to the same medical school, and I was invited because she's actually one of my closest home friends, and I think it's just kind of coincidental that I decided to come to that because it was all the way in London and I wasn't living right in central London at the time. I went with my twin sister and I went with my other best friend, and that's where we met. So it was at a restaurant called El Cantara in central London. I think it's Spanish or Portuguese.
Spanish.
And we met in 2012.
That is the shortest you've ever told the story.
I know.
Guys, we've met a lot of new people, and normally this story takes around, what, 45 minutes?
Yeah.
45 minutes to an hour, a few tears.
Okay. People like the long story.
Okay.
Okay, if you guys want to know the long version of that story, which is literally an hour long, let me know in the comments and we'll do a whole separate video on that, okay?
Fair enough. I'm proud of you, though. That was amazing.
So when did you guys get married?
You want me to take this one?
Yeah.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know how it works, in Islamic marriages, there's kind of the Islamic marriage contract known as the nikah, and then kind of more of a cultural function, which is where the husband and wife officially go off and start living together. Now, typically those two things are really close together. So you'll have the nikah, the wedding contract, and then you'll have the shadi and the walima, which are the other events, and then you'll start married life together. But in our case, there was a little bit of a gap between them because I kind of ran away to America. So we had our Islamic marriage contract, the nikah, in 2016, October. And then we had our shadi, I'm going to forget the exact date, towards the end of January in 2018.
Yeah, 28th of January.
28th of January, as I said.
2018, so like 1.5 to 2 years later.
And then we had our church ceremony last year.
What are your ethnicities and which languages can you guys speak?
Okay, you first.
So I am ethnically Pakistani and the languages that I speak is English, and then I can get by in Urdu, and then on my resume I add Hindi and Punjabi and Arabic, but I can't actually speak Arabic, and Hindi and Urdu are basically almost the same language.
And she can't actually get by even in Urdu, if we're going to be completely honest.
Survival skills I have.
Well, a lot of your followers may be able to speak Urdu and Punjabi or Hindi. Why don't you give them a little demonstration?
मैं थोड़ी बहुत
Oh, this is perfect. Leave it in.
मैं थोड़ी बहुत उर्दू बोल सकती हूँ, लेकिन मेरी अंग्रेजी एक्सेंट निकलती है जब मैं उर्दू बोलती हूँ.
Okay, that was really standard. Let me come up with something spontaneously. I'm recording a video and I'm a little bit nervous. Say that in Urdu.
मैं अभी वीडियो रिकॉर्ड कर रही हूँ और मैं थोड़ी नर्वस हूँ.
Okay, can everyone please shred her in the comments below? Because she always says she can speak Urdu, and I think I genuinely might be able to speak better Urdu than her. Now over to me. So I'm also ethnically Pakistani. I was actually born in Pakistan, unlike some other Pakistanis, but I'm from Peshawar in Pakistan, so I speak Pashto as my first language, and then English. I understand Urdu 100%, but I know I'll mess up the verb endings and the genders and all those kind of things, so I have the decency to not attempt Urdu, and I definitely don't claim to be able to speak it.
Both of us were raised in England. I was born and raised in England, hence our British accents, which actually my sister is saying is turning American. So both of our nationalities are British, but we're both ethnically Pakistani. Everyone always seems to think we're Egyptian though, for some reason.
Yeah.
We get that a lot.
So in New York especially, we get a lot of Egyptian. We sometimes get Jewish based on, the Jewish population here and the fact that we tend to dress modestly, I guess, or fairly conservatively. And then sometimes we also get some variation of Latin American. So a lot of our patients especially will be very disappointed when we don't hablo español. So that's another one.
No hablo español. No hablo español.
Her Spanish is actually better than her Urdu already at this point.
What does your husband do for a living?
Okay, so I am a dermatologist here in New York. So same as Shirin, I did my medical school out in London at Imperial College. I was a few years ahead of her. So I did my USMLE exams and everything like that, came out to the US, and I have now finished my residency as of a few months ago. So I am now out in the wide world as a independent doctor and a dermatologist.
Okay, so how many kids do you guys want to have? So I'm going to start by saying as many as God blesses us with, inshallah, God willing. I think that having a big family is definitely a blessing. I am one of 4, and so is Usama. So I think that would be a good amount. But then again, we currently have no kids, and we're still like in the early phase of our marriage and life together, so we'll just see where life takes us and what God has in store for us.
I think with each passing year, the number goes down. When we first used to meet, I used to say, oh, like 6, 7. Then over the years, it was like, no, 4 is perfect. We have 4. And then I started to get nephews, and I spent time with my nephews. And then I was like, you know what? One might be okay. So let's see. Ask us again in a few years, and maybe that answer will change.
I definitely think that big families are a blessing though. It's like really fun, and I kind of wish I had even more siblings than I do. Which is like the fun part of getting married, you get more siblings. Now I have 8.
And I'm glad Shirin has the exact number of siblings she has.
What is your relationship like with your in-laws?
So I think we're both actually pretty lucky. Sometimes you hear a lot of kind of scary things about in-laws, and there's a lot of taboo about it, even in South Asian culture in particular. But in both of our cases, I think we got really lucky. Shirin's parents are amazing. I've never had a problem with them.
I agree.
Her dad, loves football, is very knowledgeable about the world and politics, and we always end up having great conversations. Unfortunately, he is an Arsenal and a Leeds fan, but nobody's perfect, so that's okay. And Ummi, Shirin's mom, is also amazing. I love speaking to her. I love hanging out with her. So the only downside is she always buys me cardigans, even though I've said probably about 10 times that I don't like them. But apart from that, everything else is perfect.
I'm sorry that Ummi buys you so many gifts.
Yeah, it's a shame. I've put in my watch requests, but they clearly are being ignored.
What do you mean? They're going to watch this, Ummi. You see what he says? He doesn't wear your cardigans that you get him.
But yes, other than that, everything is perfect. So I think I feel very blessed, and I get on very well, including Shirin's siblings. So my brother-in-law and my 2 sisters-in-law, they're also amazing, and I couldn't ask for anything else.
Aww. So like Usama said, we're definitely blessed when it comes to in-laws. I've definitely heard some horror stories from my friends and acquaintances about their in-laws, and Usama's parents, who I call Papa and Mama, feel just like I have another set of parents. So I feel really lucky and blessed, and we just have a great relationship. The only thing is they sometimes speak Pashto on FaceTime, and I think sometimes they don't realize that they switch to Pashto, which I don't understand.
Oh no, we realize, because that's the parts where we speak about her.
And then but otherwise they speak to me in Urdu or English, and we have a really great relationship, alhamdulillah. So that's really great, and I love all of Usama's siblings as well. So what is something you find annoying about each other? Who is this person trying to stir all the gossip?
Right, you're definitely going first on here so that I know how honest I should be. I need something to reference.
So many things. So many things. How much time do we have left on this SD card? So I'm just joking. I can't actually think of anything annoying. I guess one thing is that Osama is really particular when it comes to like the temperature of the bedroom at night when he needs to sleep, and also like any noise pollution or light pollution. He like takes his sleep hygiene really seriously. And I came from a family where we would literally just like turn on the light if someone was sleeping.
Oh my god, I was horrified by this. At one point I remember we were on FaceTime and Shirin was like, oh, I think I left something in Anya's room at like 2 a.m. and just burst in and turned the light on, and I could not believe it, because for me, sleep hygiene and kind of the sanctity of sleep, you would never disturb someone else like that. So I think, guilty as charged on that front. For me, I think if I had to say one thing that was the most annoying, it would be that when Shirin gets ready, especially to go out somewhere, anywhere almost, whether it's work or whether it's going out in the evening, it looks like there's been an absolute tornado in our bedroom. So for me, if I want to try on my outfits, I'll pick a shirt, try it on. Don't like it, I'll put it back on the hanger, pick a new shirt.
Where's the time?
For Shirin.
Tell me where the time is.
For Shirin, she'll put on a dress. If she doesn't like it, it's like she's angry at the dress and she has to throw it across the room. And that happens with multiple outfits at a time.
That's normal. I checked with my friends.
No, your friends aren't normal either.
It's normal.
So that is something which I found very annoying, is that every time, even if we've just cleaned the apartment, 20 minutes later, the place will just be absolutely upside down based on one outing. So that is definitely...
Alright, I think they've heard enough now.
I was just gaining momentum there. Alright, we'll move on.
Whoever asked that question better feel really bad about what's just happened. So this one is equally dramatic and pot stirring. What was the biggest shock when you started living together? About each other.
Okay, shall I go first for this one?
Yeah, fine.
So then she can decide how mean to be. Okay, the biggest shock for me, any men out there who aren't married yet, you can't possibly fathom how many hairs women shed. So I've never had sisters before. It was, me and 3 brothers. So we weren't used to this idea of there being hairs everywhere. When I first moved in with Shirin, I thought there was something wrong. I genuinely...
Hey, you're a dermatologist. You know that it's normal.
So back then I didn't know it was normal. And I genuinely thought there was an issue, because everywhere I looked, the hair would be everywhere. If I was sitting down somewhere, I'd look down at my own shirt, there'd be long hairs in there. If I was brushing my own hair, giant long hairs would come out. If I was taking a shower, hairs would come out places you don't want to know about. So no matter where you look, there'll be hairs everywhere. So that is something which shocked me, because I thought men were the ones who left beard hairs or things. That's what I used to hear people complain about.
Yeah.
But men are angels for putting up with this collectively.
I've also checked with my friends.
Yeah, okay, here we go.
Everyone's hair sheds.
Okay, we need to get Shirin some new friends. So everyone out there, please message her. We need a new set of friends who, what do they need to do? They need to not shed hair. And what was the other one? Oh, not make a mess every time they get ready. So if you're a girl like that,
I challenge you to find a girl who can fulfill the 2 criteria.
Please email Shirin.
I think the biggest shock when we started living together, I guess, I only have a good shocks.
That's great.
Biggest shock was probably how social Osama was, because when we first met, I actually thought that I was the more social one, and all my friends...
I think you still are the more social one.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I'm definitely the one who'll start the plans, but I'm actually surprised at how much Osama tells stories when we're together with our friends, or when we're meeting a new couple. He'll ask a lot of questions, and usually that's me who does that with my group of friends and things like that. So I think that was a pleasant surprise when we started, because it's only really when you start living together and going out and meeting new friends and new couples that you realize what your significant other is like in those kind of dynamics. Because we were in long distance for so long, I guess I never realized how chatty you can be with new people, but I love that. So it's a happy shock. It's a good shock.
So what I'll say is, I think a lot of guys might be like this, where naturally you're more of an introvert, or you kind of are totally content with your own company. And that is definitely me. I could sit undisturbed for weeks at home and I would have no problems. But especially since I've been married to Shirin and we've moved to a new place, we have this rule which I think is pretty useful, where we say we will always meet up with a new couple at least once. So the rule is, if Shirin comes and says, oh, do you want to go get brunch with X and Y? No matter who it is, no matter what it sounds like, I will always go at least once and see whether we hit it off. And to be honest, we've been really lucky. I think you do a great job vetting, because almost always it's ended up being somebody we've got on pretty well with.
Yeah, I think we've not had any bad first double dates. Yeah. What is your age difference? That's a really quick and easy one. We're 2 to 3 years apart.
Depending on the time of the year.
2.5. Osama is 2.5 years older than me, just in case you guys thought it was the other way around. Do you guys share house chores, and how do you decide? That is a good question.
Okay, so when it comes to house chores, I would say naturally I'm a little bit tidier than Shirin, so throughout the week, like if I make a cup of coffee and I drink it, I will almost immediately go and put it in the dishwasher.
Is this like the let's hate on Shirin video?
No, you didn't let me
something?
finish. You didn't let me finish.
What?
Whereas Shirin will leave mess everywhere. It's disgusting. All right, now I'm finished.
Okay, what? I'm not inviting you back to my channel, you guys. Don't request any more videos with Usama. He's just exposing all my flaws to the internet.
No. So the point I was going to make is I'm more tidy. Like I'll put things away as I use them. But I don't really notice kind of things being unclean, like, you know, kitchen surfaces or the stove or things like that. So Shirin is much better at doing deep cleans, right?
Yeah, like cleaning the surfaces.
Yeah.
So the way we've always decided like who does the house chores, it's really dependent on our schedules. As mentioned, Osama's a dermatologist, I'm a medicine resident. In general, residency hours are way more intense than dermatology hours. So
I think it depends on what block you're on.
yeah, it depends which block I'm on. When I'm on the medical floors or the intensive care unit, my life is just completely devoted to the hospital and my patients. And when I'm like in an outpatient block, I have a bit more free time. So really depending on which block I'm on or which rotation I'm on, we kind of share the household chores depending on that. So I'll do the cooking and cleaning when I'm on a lighter schedule, and Osama does it the rest of the time. And the cleaning, I think that all the deep cleans are always me, but mainly because I like it that way. I like doing them.
And also because I physically can't see the mess that she notices. I think it's something genetically between men and women where I won't notice, for example, dust. I don't believe in the idea of dusting, but Shirin will say that she can see dust.
How can you not believe in dusting?
Dust is everywhere. When you dust, all you do is put it in the air and then it comes back down in like an hour.
But what if you have like a nasty grey layer on your like
yeah, but
TV?
at least it's all in one place. Whereas when you dust it, we just breathe it all in.
No, but you dust it away. It's like
Oh,
a
yeah,
swish.
yeah.
It's a
Okay.
technique
Yeah.
you wouldn't understand.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
why I can't do the deep cleaning, because I just don't see the kind of level of mess that Shirin does see.
I do find it therapeutic to clean, so I don't really mind too much. And when it comes to cooking, we're actually not too extravagant in our cooking. We like to try and keep it simple most days, so it's not like the biggest thing. But Osama's much better at forward planning, so he'll do like a lot of the defrosting of like the chicken and ordering the groceries online, and then I'll do a little bit more of the actual preparing the food on the day, things like that. So it
Yeah.
ends up being pretty even, but we're really understanding of each other's schedules and make sure neither of us feel overwhelmed at any one point in time. And if we do, we make sure we vocalize that to each other, saying that like, well, I'll just drop subtle hints like, oh, I've been cleaning all day. It's like really subtle.
And I'll have my headset on, I'll be like, what? Can you keep it down? Sorry, boys.
Nothing annoys me more than when Osama plays PlayStation.
All right, we don't need to get into that now.
I should have done that as one
Too
annoying
late.
habit.
Too late. The annoying habit, doors closed.
What do you guys argue about, and who apologizes first? Again, very cheeky question. But it's a good one. It's a good one. In general, to be honest, I don't think we argue that much. Because I think we're both quite easygoing. Osama makes me laugh a lot whenever I'm about to start an argument. You know, he can sense it in the air, and he'll disarm me by like making me laugh, and then I'll be smiling, and he says you're not allowed to have an argument if you're smiling.
That is the rule.
So that actually prevents a lot of our arguments. But
I tell her, I'm like, you can't laugh at my joke and be mad at me at the same time. So make up your mind.
okay, so what do we argue about?
I know what we argue about.
What?
So what we argue about the most is lateness. So lateness is a big pet peeve of mine when it comes to plans or meeting up with people. I hate the idea of being late. I always feel like if you're late, you're basically disrespecting the other person's time, because if they got there at the time you both agreed on and you're not there, they've just wasted their life for those 10-15 minutes. So I like to be early or like on the dot on time. And consistently, Shirin overestimates how quickly she can get ready. So every day, she'll be in her pajamas, barely awake, and she will turn to me confidently and say, I can be ready in 10 minutes. What are you getting stressed about?
Yeah.
And then every single day, we'll end up 5 to 10 minutes late, and then that will just eat me up inside.
I'm speechless. To be fair, I do agree with you. I do like to be on time, and there was a period of time where I was pretty good at getting on time. Honestly, Osama's idea of lateness is even 5 minutes counts as late to him. For me, I think anything after 15 or 20 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, after that, then it's kind of rude if you're later than like 10-15 minutes to a double date, or meeting someone in Central Park or something like that. So, but Usama doesn't even want to be 5 or 10 minutes late, and that's where he gets like stressed out at me if I'm still getting ready. But I kind of factor in like, oh, we're only 5 minutes late, like that's not a big deal. So obviously if we're discussing lateness, I have to apologize, apparently, because I'm the one who's making us late, apparently.
That apparently just invalidated all of her apologies in the past.
But if it's about something else, like usually it's something small. I don't think we've ever argued about a big thing. So it's usually something small, so whoever's in the mood will apologize first. To be honest, it's probably Osama who usually apologizes first, because I like to kind of huff around and pretend I'm mad for a little bit, just because adds a bit of fun into the evening. But if I've done something that actually warrants an apology, I will apologize.
And one thing to balance it out a little bit, a type of argument that I'm usually at fault for is when it comes to content creation. So as you know, Shirin has a page and we have to like sometimes take photos and upload things.
Yeah.
And I always make this vow that I'm going to be more patient when it comes to taking her photos. And no matter what we're doing for a campaign or something, and I really want her to do it, and I'm always very encouraging of her, her Instagram and her influencer kind of lifestyle. But when it comes to taking the photos, some kind of switch always flips in my brain no matter when it is. And I go from like 0 to I've had enough within about 2 minutes sometimes.
Yeah.
And at that point,
like he'll take 5 pictures of me and just turn the camera off and be like, I'm done, I want to go watch TV.
I don't know what
happens.
happens.
I'm just like shocked.
Yeah.
I'm just like, well, you only taken 5 pictures, like I haven't even got the shot. And
then, it makes no sense. And literally this has probably happened about 20 times where I've just been like, no, I'm going to be supportive, I'm going to be supportive. 5 minutes in, I'm like, we're done. And I walk away. And then I always apologize for that one, because I'm like, I know I always encourage you to do your Instagram and I'm really supportive, and then I always say I'm going to do better and then I don't. But this time I'm really going to do better.
I think that I need to hire a photographer or something.
Yeah, any of you photographers out there who want to solve this source of a few arguments in our lives, reach out.
Conflict. How does Osama feel about Shirin's long hours as a resident? Osama, how does he feel?
So I think naturally it gets difficult. I mean, when Shirin's out in the hospital working, I don't know how to fill the time. Normally I'm just moping around the house, waiting for her to come back, buying her flowers, writing her poetry, things like that, and generally just mourning her absence.
Guys,
it gets really tough.
This is not the case.
No, I mean, in all seriousness, obviously I know that's what residency is like, and I did intern year myself in internal medicine, and we did it in the same place where Shirin is now doing her residency, so I know exactly what the different rotations and the hours are like, and I know how tough it can be. So I always try and make it as easy as possible for Shirin. So when she comes home, I always try and make sure like food is ready and on the table, and I try and make sure that it's a calming atmosphere, and I'm always very aware of that because I know how hard it can be. And I know that internal medicine residency is way harder than dermatology residency was even. So I'm actually always very inspired and proud of how well you handle the long hours, because she'll come home and she'll still be like quite happy and excited and doing things, and I'll remember how I was coming back from ICU rotations where I would just feel broken. So I do admire that a lot. So I'm nothing but proud.
Aww.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I figure out ways to pass the time, you know what I mean? In between the morning, I may play the occasional Call of Duty game. Maybe I even enjoy some alone time sometimes. So we figure out a way to make it work.
I think I am lucky in that sense that Osama is a doctor himself as well, and he can literally empathize because he went through it himself. It was just the first year that he did it in medicine and then moved on to dermatology, which is how the system works here in the US. But I'm in medicine residency, so I have 3 years of that in total. I'm in my 2nd year, and it's known to be notoriously tough, really long hours. So I'm really lucky, alhamdulillah, that Osama is really understanding of that, and he does whatever he can to make my day more enjoyable. Plus, I also just really love having someone to talk to about my day when I get home, and it really just gives me the energy. I feel like if you weren't there to talk to, I'd probably just fall asleep, or go on Instagram for a bit and then fall asleep, because my family in England are always asleep by the time I get home from work. I try and call my sister, and I'll wake her up sometimes with my calls. So it's really great that I have Osama at home with me, and he takes so much interest in my stories. And as you guys can probably tell, I talk a lot, so there's a lot of stories, and that's how we fill up a lot of our evenings and how we spend a lot of time. It's just like hearing stories from each other's day. You guys got married so young. Did getting married affect your studies?
This is always a big thing, I think, not only in kind of South Asian culture, but in all sorts of different cultures, the idea that being in a relationship might affect people's studies. So, don't do that while you're young or while you're in medical school. And we had similar things. And I don't know whether it was the case for you, but for me at least, it made me even more kind of careful to make sure I didn't let my grades slip. So specifically after I told my parents about Shirin, after things got more serious and after we ended up getting married, I made sure that all of my studies and academic achievements, they hopefully got better and definitely not worse. Otherwise, I knew that the first thing people will always blame is the marriage, is you.
Even if I did nothing.
Exactly. So I think we were both very aware of that, and we wanted to make sure that our in-laws kind of liked each other. So
which they did from the beginning, thankfully.
Yep.
Full story comes soon.
So we'd both kind of remind each other, make sure you're studying. Are you keeping up to date with things? Because, if your exam results get bad, then your parents are going to hate me. So I think that actually motivated us to study even better.
I also think both of us were naturally pretty ambitious when it came to our careers and our studies anyway, so we wouldn't have really let anything get in the way. And ironically, almost, being with Usama and vice versa, we kind of would push each other to keep doing well. Like, he would always encourage me to aim for not just a pass in my medical school exams, but get a distinction, get in the top 1% of your class, because he would always say really motivating things like, I know that you have it in you to get in the top percent. And it was actually really encouraging when sometimes you don't get that from other people. And I think that was actually really motivating for me, that Osama always really believed in my abilities from the beginning. I actually met him kind of near the beginning of our med school journeys, so that actually motivated me to study more. And whenever I needed help in a subject in med school, because he's 2 years senior to me, I would just FaceTime him and be like, can you teach me?
So she actually only really married me for the free tutorials, I found out many years later. But by that point we were in too deep.
I also think that sometimes parents might use studies as an excuse to not have their kids get married young, especially in certain cultures and certain minorities. There's so much emphasis on studies, which I totally agree is important. And I think that, kids, stay at home, read books and study. But there's so many things that can distract you in life, and having the right partner and being with the right spouse can actually be a motivation factor rather than a distraction if you're with someone who's supportive and understanding. Because there's so many distractions in life, like your friends, the internet, YouTube, except not this channel. This is a very great channel which will help you get A's in your biology class. Tutorial coming soon. But I think there's so many ways you can get distracted, and if you're with the right person, they'll encourage you to do better in your studies rather than distract you from them.
So parents, if you're nervous about the idea of your kids getting married young and worried it's going to affect their studies, if it's the right partner, it can actually help their studies. And for the younger people looking to get married, the way you can change your parents' minds about this kind of thing is anytime there is talk about a girl or marriage or things like that, make sure you step up your performance when it comes to university work so they can't use that against you.
Good point. So those were the most frequently asked questions. I actually had a lot of fun filming this. I don't know about you.
You're squeezing my shoulder kind of hard.
I actually had a really fun time filming this, and Osama and I have so many big grand ideas for more couple videos that we really want to get together and film whenever we have time. So if you guys have any suggestions for that, and if you're interested in that kind of content, don't forget to subscribe to Osama's channel, Real Skin Doctor, and mine. We will be sharing different videos on different channels, so make sure you're subscribed to both of those. Leave us your recommendations for future couple videos down below in the comments. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you in the next video.